This is NDTV, and you're watching Classics.
A very warm welcome to this really special show with a legend in our lifetime, Arnold Schwarzenegger. Thank you very much for being here. If there's one person who's lived life to the full, it's you. You had a tough start, then you went into bodybuilding, you became a global champion in bodybuilding, then you went into Hollywood. We should come into Bollywood actually, that would have been more fun. Then you achieved legendary status in Hollywood, and then as a very successful governor in politics. So what's next now?
I think that one of the things that I do is I will continue promoting and campaigning for good government and for giving power back to the people rather than the politicians having the ultimate power, having people have the ultimate power, and also to continue campaigning and being on a crusade for the environment.
Right.
I think that there's a lot of work that needs to be done, and I always said that after I'm finished with the governorship, I will go back in what I have always done, which is I promoted health and fitness and bodybuilding, and also I did movies. I ran my businesses in real estate and other investments. So I will go back to that, kind of like Cincinnatus, when after he was in control and ruled Rome. After he was finished with his challenges, he went back to farming. And I think there's something very attractive about that, to go back to the original kind of work. And so that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to continue doing that. And it's a very fulfilling life, and I'm very excited that I have all of those different things. If it's show business, if it is politics, if it is fitness, bodybuilding, weight training, business, all of those
politics?
things are very exciting.
No more. I'm really shocked that you're not standing for the candidacy of the Republican Party. With these guys, you could have won easily.
Well, I would. Except the Constitution of the United States says that if you're not born in the United States, you cannot run for president. And so therefore, I couldn't run
otherwise you would
president. But otherwise I would have, yes.
And you would have knocked these guys out, wouldn't you?
Well, it's, you never know. But I felt that I have a lot to offer, and just like I did when I ran for governor, and that I will be able to communicate to the people directly of the kind of vision that I had, that would not be like through political talk, but there would be kind of honest, straightforward talk, which made me win the governorship twice. And I think that I would have had a good shot also doing that in the presidential race. But, we have good candidates. We have smart candidates.
Are you
we have
serious?
a smart president.
You think they're really good?
I think they're very good. They're very
Who's
experienced.
your favorite amongst them?
Say again?
Who's the favorite amongst these?
I don't pick a favorite because we have a process. We just have begun the process with the primaries. And I think that if we go through a few more primaries, it will become clear who is going to win and who is going to get nominated at the convention. And then it will be between the Republican and the Democrat. And from then on, I think only Las Vegas, only the bettors can bet on who is going to win that, because it depends so much also on the economy. Remember, the economy can make you win or lose elections. So if the economy stays where it is, I think that the Republican candidate has a very good shot. If the economy improves a little bit, I think that President Obama has a very good shot. So it all depends on that.
In a word, what do you think of President Obama?
I think that there were some things that he was very successful, and there are some things that he was not successful. And but that's the old story in politics. I mean, I remember I went into the governorship in a very ambitious way, and I had a long list of things that I wanted to accomplish. Well, half of it I accomplished, and the other half I didn't. So but you have to go and shoot for the stars. And but I'm very proud that we accomplished the things that we did accomplish. And I think it's right now a very kind of an atmosphere in Washington where things don't get done. It's very frustrating to see the two parties argue over everything, and only for political reasons. And the sad story is because, to me, I think when you get into politics, you always have to promise to be a public servant and not a party servant. And there's a big difference between being a party servant where you only do things for your party, or where you're a public servant where it doesn't matter if it is a Republican idea or Democratic idea, liberal idea or conservative idea. If it's a good idea, you vote for it, you will push for it. That's the way I ran when I ran for governor. That's the way I ran my administration. I worked with Democrats and Republicans, and I didn't look at it as like, is it a Republican or Democratic idea? Issue? I was only interested in one thing, is what is best for California. So some issues like the environmental issue will be a more liberal issue, the way people look at it. Healthcare reform, I fought for healthcare reform, is a more liberal issue. But then again, I was fighting for living within our means, to only spend money we have and not to ring up a debt. But that was more considered a conservative issue.
But I want to ask you, which required greater acting skills, Hollywood or being in politics?
I think both.
Both?
Definitely both. As a matter of fact, when Ronald Reagan one time said that he was glad to have the acting experience when he became president, I said to myself, I wonder what he means by that. But then later on, when I became governor, I recognized very quickly what it means, because the same rules apply. That one of the things they teach you in acting is to be engaged, to go inside, not to just speak words, but to actually mean it, and to get through to the people and to communicate. Well, the same is the case in politics. You don't go out and you just blabber out words against the wall as if no one is standing there. You got to penetrate, and you got to bring people in to your world, so to speak. And it's an art to do that. There's a lot of people that talk, but they don't really say anything. And then there's people that really penetrate through and make you understand of which direction you go.
That.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. So I think that learning was very helpful.
Do you know a little bit about Bollywood, Indian movies?
Yes.
Can you dance? Could you ever consider?
A little bit.
You can dance?
A little bit, yes.
So you would consider doing Bollywood one day, maybe?
Maybe, if there is a good script. And if there is a good, interesting director and all that. I mean, I've worked already all over the world. I would not mind working here in India.
Any favorite actors?
But I think that most of the movies that are made here are very low-budget movies.
It's increasing now.
Yeah, it's increasing now. But what is amazing about India is that they have an extraordinary movie industry. They do over 700 movies a year.
Amazing.
I mean, I don't think there was ever a year that America did 700 movies. It is really amazing if you think about it. And the sad story is that the movies don't come over to the United States, or they don't travel internationally. I have very rarely seen, if at all, movies in Austria that are from India, or in Germany, or in England, or in the United States.
Well, that's now your role to play. You can take Indian movies abroad, right?
Good.
Right. Let's have some questions, actually, from these youngsters from different colleges here. They're all got, actually, stars in their eyes seeing you, so they may be a bit inarticulate, but you'll forgive them for that, right?
Absolutely, yes.
Any questions from
Hello.
Hello.
Well, my question to you is, like, everybody's here talking about climate change, and we've been talking about it. So movie making really requires resources and energy into it. So how do you think it's increasing the carbon footprints in today's scenario?
So the question is, how do we do movies and
okay, let's put it another way. Can movies give a message that helps with the environment, can reduce the carbon footprint? Is that a responsibility, or is that not theirs, is just to entertain?
I think that movies are there to just entertain, but if it lends itself for a message, or if the script is a fantastic script that automatically has a message built in, I think you should use it. Very rarely is there a script that really, shows anything or promotes anything environmentally. But I think that if someone writes a good script, then I think this is one of the things that you all can do. You can look at that and say, I'm going to come up with a great script that will also be a great environmental message. and then you can go and sell that script. Because the interesting thing about all of this is that each person has the power to make changes. Even though we always think about, I'm powerless, the politicians have all the power. It's not so. I remember that before I ran for governor, I was upset the way California was run. I was upset where we were going. I was upset at the blackouts that we had. All of a sudden, some days, we had no electricity. The prices went up. All kinds of crazy things that had happened in California that I felt like, we need new leadership, and maybe we need someone from the outside to come in. And people said to me, of course, the first thing as you always hear is it's impossible. Right. Don't even try it. They're going to destroy it. They're going to this and that, and you're never going to win. And all. You hear the word impossible. Of course, I don't believe in the word impossible. I always recommend to everyone, cut that out of your vocabulary, because as Nelson Mandela said, things always seem to be impossible until someone does it.
Right.
It's that simple. And so I always say to myself, well, I'm going to do the impossible, and I'm going to become governor. So, and then you have tremendous power when you're in that position. So each and every one of you students has tremendous power. All you have to do is just never take what you see out there lying down. Fight it. Don't watch television and just sit there and complain. Look at those guys. Look how terrible they do this or that. Look how terrible businesses are. And look how corrupt this is. Look how terrible politics is. Go in there, jump in, campaign, and become one of them, and then create the changes within. That is really tremendous power, and that's the kind of power that each and every one of you have. And you don't have to necessarily run for politics. You can be a leader, and you can have tremendous power otherwise. Look at Dr. Pachauri, for instance, is a perfect example. He doesn't run for office. He's not prime minister, but the amount of power that he has internationally is more than probably anyone around, except maybe other people in technology or so that are having created great inventions or so in India. But I have seen him in California. He's like a rock star over there. The people listen to every word they did. They were sitting there when he spoke like this, leaning forward, kind of inhaling and taking in every word that he said, because this is an extraordinary human being that has taken it upon himself to say, I'm going to lead a environmental crusade. And I'm going to go around the world, and I'm going to make sure that we are going in the right direction that is going to protect us from an international disaster. The way we are going right now would be that. But he, amongst many others, are going to stop that. And so this is tremendous power that he has. And so that's what you can do. That's the power that each and every one of you can acquire by getting passionate about something like he is, passionate, and to have vision, and to never look at impossible, the word impossible, as a word in the vocabulary. Cut it out and just move forward with tremendous energy. Yeah.
This young gentleman here in the second row on the left.
My question to you is, what message would you like to give to the people of India, a developing country like India, to tackle the problem of climate change? Thank you.
I think that the important thing is that India, since it's a developing world, a developing country, that they look at the mistakes that were made by the developed world. So that's the great thing. Like, I looked at my parents, and I looked at very critically and say, let me see the mistakes they made, or other people made, and then I learned from that. The way they dealt with bringing up their children, I then improved on that, to how I bring up my children. So that's, I think it's great, power there, that we can watch the world. Why are we in this mess today? What have they done wrong? So India can go and say, well, we're going to develop, and we're not going to let anyone tell us not to develop, but we are going to develop in a better way. We're going to develop with renewable energy rather than with fossil fuels. We're going to have so many cars around this country. Everyone should have the pride of ownership of a car, but electric cars, not like they did over there with gasoline cars. We're going to have cars that are hydrogen-fueled cars. We're going to have hybrid cars. We're going to have new technology which we're going to work on day and night. We are not going to make the same mistakes. And we're going to go and create energy independence. We're not going to do like they did in these developed countries where everyone has to beg for the grid to work, for the electricity to arrive, or for some power company to say, all right, in around 6 weeks we maybe install some energy in your apartment. No, right. I'm going to go and develop a solar panel like Dr. Pachauri is, that he developed this whole idea to light 1 billion lives. That whole program where he wants to go and get people off kerosene lamps and have a solar panel so they can have a light, so they can have a stove, so they can have refrigerators and stuff like that. So that is a whole new way of going. That gives you energy independence now, which other people don't have. They have to be slaves to that grid, slaves to the power company and so on. And also, India has a way of looking at the rest of the world and say, why is, for instance, America now relying 60% of their fuel to come from outside of the country? That makes the United States very vulnerable. So the national security goes down as you rely more and more on this outside power. So India can learn from that and say, we are going to be at a certain point energy independent. We're going to need no energy from the outside, and we're going to do it mostly with renewable energy, because there's tremendous amount of sun, that is an abundant amount. And there's an abundant amount of wind. And there's an abundant amount of water. So if you use hydro, the water, and wind, and solar, and then you use all of your garbage, all of your waste, and use that for energy, biomass, use that for energy, you are home free. You're now doing everything that is different than the developed world has done in the past, and you will reduce your pollution, and you will bring really a healthy atmosphere to India. So that's my message, is learn from the rest of the world the mistakes they have made, and listen to people like Dr. Pachauri, because he knows exactly what the mistakes that the rest of the world has made.
We'll be asking him to join us soon to talk about these issues, but just quickly going a bit back to your Hollywood career, all these different images around you, which was really the turning point for you?
You know, I don't think there's one turning point. I think that I was very fortunate. You won a Golden Globe very early. Yeah, very early for Stay Hungry.
Right.
As being the best newcomer.
Right. That was very early, yes.
Very early. It was 1977 I won that. But I think the big step for me was Conan the Barbarian.
Right.
Because it was the first time a studio invested $20 million, which in today's term would be around $150 million or something like that.
Big budget.
Because it was back in 1979, 1980. So it was the first time a huge studio invested that kind of money and promoted the movie internationally. That set me up to become a leading man in movies. But Terminator was an interesting film because it allowed me to be a leading man without it being in this lion cloth and showing my muscles throughout the whole movie, which in Conan was the case. So in Conan I got in there mostly because of my stardom in the bodybuilding world, and I could also do my acting. But Terminator was a great breakthrough because it was mostly relying on the acting and not on the muscles. So that was a great breakthrough. And then Commando and Predator, of course, and those movies. And then Twins was a very important breakthrough because I always wanted to do comedies.
Right.
But I was not allowed to do comedies because I made so much money for the studios in action movies that they said, why would we spend money on a comedy when we give him an action movie and we can make more money? So I literally said, I work for free. You don't have to pay me anything. I make the investment in myself. Let's do a comedy. Let's try it. And Ivan Reitman, who did the Ghostbusters movie, was a great director for comedies. And he and Danny DeVito said, you know, let's do this movie with Arnold. And we did this movie, and Danny DeVito and I, we played twins. And the movie became the hugest success.
Yes.
It made more money internationally, and we made more money, even though we took no money. But what that means is you have a share of the back end. So that means that you're, in a percentage-wise, you are participating in the profits. And it was such huge profits, not only in the theater, but also on video, and then later on DVD, on airplane sales, and TV sales, and all this international sales, that we participated in all of that. I think our participation was almost like 40%. And so you know, we made a lot of money from that movie. So those were kind of the different breakthroughs, and I think all of that kind of led up to me becoming, by Terminator 3, I became the highest paid actor in the world. You know, so there was a huge success for someone that they said would never ever become a leading man, because they said your body is too big, you have an accent, and you have a name that no one can pronounce. What is it, like Schnitzel or something like that? So I mean, so they always say it can't be done, and so I was very proud that I got to that point,
So
even though everyone
with
said it
all
can't be
these
done.
excellent characteristics to become not an American accent, body too big, name. If you had one thing to change about yourself, what would you change?
Well, you know, I am very happy with myself. Okay. I think that I'm just pretty much the happiest guy around. I've made mistakes in life that I regret, but I would say that when it comes to career and those kind of things, I wouldn't change anything.
No, physically, what would you like to change?
Physically, I would like to have the body again of when I was 30 years old. Because it's the only sad story is that as you get older, you know, your muscles, you see them kind of like decrease, and it's kind of like very depressing in a way.
No, but part of the condition of any show like this is there you have to take off your shirt and you have to show us what the body is like now. You know that. They told you that, right?
I've done that in the last movie again, and so, you know, that's when you then step up the training, and you want to make sure you do all your curls and your bench
Any
press
questions
and all
on
those
Hollywood? Hollywood questions?
Say one line of Terminator. Hasta la vista, baby. Could you just say it for us?
Hasta la vista, baby. I actually say to you, much rather, I'll be back.
Right.
Because this trip so far has been absolutely fantastic, and it's my first time here, and I really enjoyed the beauty of it. I have a book at home about India, and there's so many wonderful pictures in there, and about the you know, the animal kingdom that you have here, and now preserving the tiger and all of those things. And then the Taj Mahal, tomorrow we're going to go and see the Taj Mahal. I want to bring some goodies back, some gifts, and also things, decoration for my house. But your culture, your history, the beauty of the country and all of those things. So I would definitely, even though this is only like a 2-day or 3-day trip, but the next time I want to come back and really tour the country and see all the different looks, because just like the United States, India has different looks. You know, you go to the north, there's a different look than in the south. Yeah. So the same is in the United States. So I think that there's so much to see here. So it's a wonderful place. And
so into the camera, you can say about India that you will be back?
I love it in India. I'll be back. How about that for commercial in India? Hey.
Okay, we'll take a short break. When we come back, we get more questions and we talk about environmental issues and something we want you to help Dr. Pachauri and us with, and that is save the tiger.
Sure.
Right, that's in a moment from now.